Germany's foreign minister has said that a successful Brexit deal could act as a framework for managing ties with other countries, including Turkey. Britain voted to leave the European Union in June 2016, becoming the first country to seek divorce from the bloc, which includes Germany but not Turkey. If we are able to get a smart agreement with Britain that governs its relations with Europe after Brexit, it could be a model for other countries, Ukraine and Turkey, Sigmar Gabriel said in an interview with German media group Funke, published on December 26. I can't imagine Turkey or Ukraine becoming EU members in the next few years, he said. This is why we have to consider other ways of close cooperation. Earlier in December, Britain and the EU agreed on Brexit terms to establish a future relationship. The deal includes details of a financial settlement, the Irish border and rights for citizens hit by Brexit. Turkey has been in full membership talks with the EU since 2005, but these discussions have essentially been frozen over the last few years. Ukraine is not yet a candidate country for membership. German journalist Mesut Altılı released in Turkey. Mark Rezayan, an MP with Turkey's ruling Justice and Development Party, AK Party, told Al Jazeera that the nature and conditions of Ankara's full membership talks were clear and irrelevant to the Brexit process, in response to Gabriel's comments. This statement shows that the conditions for Turkey in membership talks are different compared to the other candidate countries, as none of them are offered a separate path, said Asian, who has a role on the country's Committee on EU Harmonization. The EU cannot make Turkey responsible for not letting the country into the bloc. If it does not want Turkey as a member, it should officially take decisions in this direction at EU institutions, rather than politicians making such arbitrary statements. Tense relations. Relations between Ankara and Berlin have been tense since last year's failed coup, in part over the imprisonment of German journalists and activists in Turkey on terror charges. Germany and other EU member states have condemned the Turkish government's detentions and purges of tens of thousands of people after the July 2016 incident. Turkey-Europe tensions high as EU summit opens. Deniz Yücel, a prominent German journalist and critic of the Turkish government, is among the German citizens who remain imprisoned, while Mesut Altılı, another German journalist, and Peter Stugner, a German human rights activist, have been released pending trial. Local and international rights groups accuse the government of using the coup attempt as a pretext to silence opposition in the country. The government says that the purges and detentions are aimed at removing supporters of Fethullah Gulen from state institutions and other parts of society. Gulen is a US-based, self-exiled religious leader who Ankara blames for the attempted coup. EU cuts Turkey's funds. The EU recently shrunk so-called pre-accession funds for Turkey for the first time in the 2018 budget, due to what it called the country's deteriorating situation in relation to democracy, rule of law and human rights. In March, before a referendum to change Turkey's parliamentary system to an executive presidency, the Netherlands, Austria, Germany and Denmark prevented Turkish politicians, including ministers, from taking part in rallies within their borders to back a yes. EU cuts Turkey funding after democratic deterioration. Bulgaria, which will take over the EU presidency on January 1 for 6 months, said in its program that the bloc's enlargement policy will be a key priority for its term, with focus on Western Balkans, while not including Turkey in this prospect. A specific priority of the Bulgarian presidency is the European perspective and connectivity of the Western Balkans, the Bulgarian government said in a program adopted by its Council of Ministers earlier in December. EU enlargement policy continues to be the most effective instrument for guaranteeing peace, stability and prosperity in the Western Balkans, it added.